Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hard Nine podcast. Today is Thursday, December the 12th. Welcome back, everybody. Happy holidays to you all. As you are joining us, as you are listening to everything that we are doing, if you could hit that subscribe button or that follow button, thank you so much for listening and to follow along. We greatly appreciate you. It is very nice to be back, and it does appear that the Cardinals are actually making some news.
Well, they're definitely making news now, making moves, not as much. Um,
Use those
the
words correctly.
the sorry, this is the second straight offseason Mozeliak has come out and said that he's trying to trade a player. Um, which is weird. Like it's like he's towards the end of his career and he started to not care as much. But it was very surprising to me to hear him come out and say, "Yeah, we're trying to trade Nolan Arenado." Like I didn't think that was ever going to happen. But I guess when every team probably knows they're trying to trade him, the reporting's out there that they're trying to trade him. He probably just thought, "Why not? Why do I can't talk about my plans for the season without letting you know that this guy is not going to be here."
Yeah, I mean, we've been assuming this. I mean, I think everyone has. It's not just us, but we've been talking about this on here quite a bit, that we kind of felt like that was coming. I would like to go ahead and pull the old Caleb Noble out and stretch a little shoulder as I pat myself on the back. As I told you, I assumed the Angels would be on that list, and you told me how dumb I was. I just would like it known that I was, in fact, correct, because when I get those things, when I get my flowers, I need them.
I would like it known that I was right. It is stupid.
Zero argument. But that is what, like five great franchises and then the Angels. Like, which one of these does
Well,
not belong?
I don't know if I'd call the Mets a great franchise, but
Fair.
that's
That's
fine.
fair. We'll get to the Mets later, but that is true. Five competitive
Contenders.
franchises, and then
Five
the
contenders
and then the
currently,
Phillies.
yes.
If you were a betting man, which you are, not that you're necessarily very good at it, but if you were a betting man, who would you where would you place the odds of where he is traded?
Um, well, I'm not going to do that because that's hard for my brain, but I will say that I don't think as of right now there's a clear fit for him anywhere.
I guess what I meant was, do you think there's a favorite in that list? I will tell you what I think it is, and I think it's the Red Sox.
I think we'll know a lot more whenever Alex Bregman signs and we'll know where he signs.
Are the
Because
winter
if the Red Sox,
meetings?
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's fine. I didn't have anything else really.
When are the winter meetings officially over?
Yesterday.
Okay, I thought I didn't know if they went through today or not.
No,
That
they ended
Bregman
last night.
signing has to be coming soon, right? Like I don't think
I
that
would
he's the type
think
that wants to let it go play out.
I'm a little confused because the Astros seemed to be the team that was really in on Alex Bregman, and like the only team that we knew gave them an offer. Whether that offer that was leaked was accurate or not, who knows? But um, how? Why would he want to sign back there now that Kyle Tucker's being shopped? Like I don't really get that. But the Red Sox are in on Alex Bregman. Apparently, Alex Cora really likes him. Shocker. And Craig Breslow really doesn't like him. So I don't know where he's gonna go. But if the Astros, I mean, if the Red Sox sign Alex Bregman, then they're not in on Nolan, and their GM is still saying Rafael Devers is our third baseman. So I don't know what's going on over there.
Let me ask you something. As a fan of Alex Bregman since he was in college down here at LSU, like been a fan of his since then, do you believe he's going to get overpaid because of his postseason value versus what he has actually done? Like if you look at his regular season numbers, not taking anything away, but they aren't what you would call elite. If you want to look at those, especially
They
over the
were for
last few
two
years.
years, and that's been
Correct.
a while. Yeah.
Correct.
Um,
Do you get the feeling that he's going to get overpaid because of, I mean, what he's done in the post, or what he did in the postseason for years was so clutch? Do you think that's going to sway the market on him?
I've got a couple thoughts. One, name value always carries a lot. So that's the reason Nolan Arenado is going to be able to get traded. It's not because of his production. It's because his name is Nolan Arenado. People are going to believe in that. And then my second take on that is every free agent is overpaid. All of them. There's not been one free agent contract signed this year that people that you haven't looked at and said that's more than you should get. Not one.
Can we go back to Bryce Harper a few years ago that probably is not overpaid?
Yes. Okay. So unless the owners are colluding against signing Scott Boras clients, every free agent is
Right.
overpaid.
That wasn't my. I guess I just wanted the Caleb Noble take on. Do you think, like, I love Brady as a person and as a player, but I do think he has been vaulted to a higher degree because of what he's done in the postseason. And I don't know how his game plays, like if he's going to be the prized possession in an offseason. Does that make sense of what I'm trying to say there?
Yeah, I don't think he can be the guy you get in an offseason, but he can't be the guy in your order. That's the way I would
Okay.
put it. Because like
Okay.
here's what I think. I think Alex Bregman was so great in 2018 and 2019 that him just now being really good has made people think he's been worse than he has been, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
if he would have never been as great as he was in 18 and 19 when he was legitimately a top 5 player in baseball for those 2 years, I don't think people would view it as negatively with how he's been lately. Because like he was a 5 WAR player in 2023, 4.6 in 22, and 4.1 last year. That's a really good player. Tommy Edman just got $75 million, and that's probably around what you expect him to be. Now his OPS last year he's 18% above league average again. Like he's still a really good player. I don't know how he'll age, and I don't know how he'll play outside of Minute Maid Park, more importantly. But yeah, I do think he's a little bit overvalued. But if I'm a contender and I'm like, I need a right-handed bat, and I don't want to go trade for whoever might be available out there, say a Suzuki, whatever, I would really like him. If you're a team that can withstand the cost of maybe the back half of that contract not being good.
I think he's a great guy if he doesn't have to be the guy, if that makes
Right.
sense. Like I think if
And he
you
can
put
be
him in
though.
a
Like he can be the guy.
agreed, and that's the thing. Like two things here. One, I hope Alex Bregman gets paid as much money as he can get. Like I
Dude,
understand
favorite
what
player
you're
in
saying
baseball.
about players being overpaid as far as free agents. I don't care. I want them to get all the money. I
Oh,
don't.
I don't
I
care
like
either.
that's fine.
But
I
it's
know
still
you
the
don't.
reality of it.
I know you don't. Two, I do think injuries in the past 4 or 5 years have hampered him a little bit. And three, the fact that he was 18% over last year, he had a terrible start. If you remember March or April and May, he was awful. Like
Yeah.
like people thought he
He
was
does that a lot,
hurt,
by the way.
and then he does get hurt. Yep, but I think that's
No, I
athletes
mean
today.
he starts slow like a
Oh
lot, like almost
yes,
every year.
yeah, I got you. So like I said, I want him to get everything. I think Boston's also a good fit for him, like I really do. But
He'd
I
be a
think
great
there's a
fit.
lot of teams you could say that for Alex Bregman. I'm intrigued to see, and I don't know if I haven't. You know that I haven't been on Twitter, so we know that that's not much. But I haven't paid attention. What's the Alec Bohm news? Is it still loud that they're maybe looking to trade him, or is that kind of subsided a little bit? Because that one shocked me a little bit, even though I know you said people don't really maybe like him in the clubhouse, which is possible. We don't know if that's
Or
true or not.
allegedly, I
Allegedly,
don't know
that's
that
why
for a
it's
fact.
allegedly, yeah, that's why I said we don't know if that's true or not. But I'm intrigued with that because that also you add that into that's he's younger than Brady and Nolan.
Yeah, and better probably offensively than at least Nolan. I'm not
I
sure
mean, he
where you
put
put
up
him up.
an I mean, he's an all-star last year and put up an elite first half last year.
Yeah, I still think Bregman's better than Alec Bohm if we were to put a gun to my head and tell me to pick one. But
We
from
won't
what
do
I've
that.
read, yeah, please don't. But if you were to, that's what I'd say. Alec Bohm's not getting traded from what I've read. I think they
Okay.
probably went to the market and didn't like what they found out. Because here's the way I was looking at the entire time, and the rumors were last week that they wanted George Kirby. And it's funny to me for you to be a team that's like, well, we kind of want to trade this guy, even though he's been good and been a big part of our team, because of other stuff. But yet at the same time, say he's worth George Kirby, that doesn't compute. And I'm sure Jerry
Right.
Dipoto was like, if he's worth George Kirby and you believe that, why are you trying to trade him? Like
Yeah.
so if you're another team and they're coming to you and they're saying, "Why are you interested in Alec Bohm?" You're probably like, "Well, yeah, but why are you interested in trading Alec Bohm?" Like that's where I would be. If it's as a team with the Phillies that's contending, and you know that if you go out and you get Bregman or you go out and you get Arenado if you're the Phillies, that's not a guaranteed upgrade. So I never made any sense to me anyway. And I think the other GMs are probably like, this doesn't make any sense. So what am I missing?
Right. Right. To circle back to my original question, and then you know how the ADD and the brain works. Where do you think Nolan ends up, and like what are you viewing or what are you hoping the return they get is? I'm not asking for specific players. I'm asking for the overall package that they could get for a Nolan Arenado if they're going to deal him in the next, let's say, 2 to 3 weeks.
That's tough. I don't know where he's gonna go. Like genuinely, I don't. There, I'm surprised the Yankees weren't on that 6 team list. Now maybe John didn't have the entire list. I don't know. Um, I like the Dodgers don't seem to want him unless that's posturing. Maybe the Angels, because I think they're the only organization dumb enough to give us anything and take on the contract.
Were you surprised the Braves weren't on that list?
Austin Riley
Yeah,
and
but
Matt
don't
Olson.
like. I understand that, but my thought was they've played Riley in the outfield before, and he
No,
was.
Dad, no.
You just think that that's something they don't.
They
I was
have
sort
an
of surprised
all-world
by
third
that.
baseman.
Yeah, I agree.
How many bad contracts do the Atlanta Braves have on their books?
Zero.
So why would they want to add one?
No, that's a valid point. I was surprised that it wasn't on his list. I'm not saying the Braves were going to
Yeah,
make the deal. I was surprised it was not on his list because, to be fair, Atlanta seems like a team where he could go and not have to be the guy. He could fit right in the lineup wherever you want to put him, and he could put up monster numbers in Atlanta. That's my. I'm not shocked that Atlanta didn't want him. I'm shocked that he's not on that list. They weren't on that
I
list.
I'm also part of me wonders if it's not like he handed them a list because I don't think that's how it always works. Sometimes it
Yeah,
does. I think what might have happened is these are the teams that have at least expressed some sort of interest that he said, okay, you can talk to them.
you
Like
don't
that
think
might
he
be what it
sits
is.
You don't think he sits down at night and like licks his pen, pulls out the old legal pad? Dear Mo,
And
here
yeah,
are the
no, I don't.
franchises I would like to go to. Boom.
Sometimes
Signed
maybe it
sincerely,
is that
Nolan.
simple. Maybe he did like send a text. Joe Wolf said these are 6 teams no one wants you to look at. But I kind of don't think that's what it is
Yeah.
because I would bet a lot of money that if the Yankees came to the Cardinals with an offer that the Cardinals were willing to accept, and the Cardinals go to Nolan and said, "Hey, the Yankees really want you. Here's the offer. Will you go?" Why would he say no to that?
Well, you have said that when I brought up New York in the past, you said that would be a disaster in the making.
Oh, it would be, but I don't think he knows
I
that.
got you. I got you. The Angels, I told, like it's Southern California. It's the Angels who will take on every bad contract that is out there ever to be had, or
Having
give them.
Rendon and Arenado on their books is hilarious if that
I mean, they might
happens.
still be paying Josh Hamilton and who was the big lefty, C.J. Wilson. They might still be paying those guys. I don't know. I mean, they
Or
took
they probably I
Dexter
think they're still paying
Fowler.
Albert. They're still paying Albert.
Right, they took Dexter Fowler from us. Like, who knows what they'll do? But
I want to get to
The
the
Padres.
Go
I
ahead, sorry.
texted you the other day. The Padres are interesting to me simply because
I
if
don't
he
get
is
it.
willing to move first to first base, but you seem to say no, and I understand that, but it was on the list.
I'm not saying no. I'm saying I don't get it from their perspective. Like they could be interested. I don't think they should be interested because there were rumors that came out that they're open to trading Luis Ariz. So you're trading Luis Ariz, who's a better hitter than Arenado, to put Arenado at first base where he loses all of his defensive value. Can anyone explain that to me?
Well, I think the one thing we can say is CJ Preller is not scared to make a move.
AJ
That's
is.
what we can say. AJ, what I say, CJ had CJ Wilson still on the dome.
Okay, yeah,
AJ
you can
Preller,
make a move, but that's stupid.
right?
You're going lateral. You're moving laterally. If I'm the Cardinals, I'm saying, fine, give me a rise and I'll trade him.
Do you think now this means like I know that if you read the tea leaves that does it in your mind to switch gears but to stay with the Cardinals? Do you kind of feel like Helsley's not going to be moved?
Um, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna be traded. I'd be surprised at this point if he was. I think he should be traded if the value's out there. If it's not, don't trade him. I've said that all along. I don't understand trading people to trade people. Um, I almost wonder part of this that I've been thinking about is you're gonna have a really young team. And young teams tend to be a little bit more emotional than older teams just because they're younger, they haven't experienced as much. So, do you think there is something to having a closer where you get a lead to the ninth inning? Let's say it's one of those back and forth games, and you go to the ninth inning, it's 7-6. You just took the lead in the eighth. It is really devastating for that team to then blow that lead in the ninth inning. If
I
you have a
agree.
Ryan Helsley out there that's getting you those wins, I do think that could do something for the team. Now, is that a reason not to trade him if you get a good package? Probably not. But I don't hate the idea of having a guy like Helsley who can cover for a lot of mistakes by getting you wins in the ninth inning.
Yeah, because it does feel like, I mean, I guess the next logical guy is probably Fernandez if you do trade Helsley, or Riley
Yeah,
O'Brien. Maybe you give him a shot. I don't know that answer.
I'd give everyone a chance. Is what I
Right.
would.
Yeah, I agree.
But
But
besides John King,
I mean,
maybe.
logically, what you're saying makes sense. And then you get to the trade deadline, and if you're in it, you're in it. And if you're not, then Ryan Helsley becomes a massive commodity, even for only 3 months, because we just saw what the relievers went for, who were only on a one who you only had command for 3 months. I mean, i.e., Tanner Scott and others
Yeah,
last year.
and I think they have more value at the trade deadline. And
Yeah,
there's a couple reasons I think that. One, a lot of teams can convince themselves they're one Ryan Helsley away from rebuilding the Houston Astros bullpen that got them to the World Series in 2022. Also, if they want an upgrade in the middle of the season, they have one option: it's to trade. They can't go out and sign Carlos Estevez or Jeff Hoffman or Yimi Garcia, who just signed for a bunch of money. Like, you have to go trade for them. So there's no leverage. It's like you either want Ryan Helsley or you don't, and you're not signing his replacement. So
And
either you're getting him or you're not.
add to that, we've definitely seen the switch in the postseason where your starting pitchers it's a 4 or 5 inning game for your starters. And then you're going to the bullpen immediately. So we have seen that, as many bullpen pieces as you can
Dodgers.
have. Bingo.
I have one more thing to say about Arenado because
there
was one more thing that no, it's fine. I just think I forgot until I just thought about it. Mo came out and he basically said the decision to trade Arenado is mostly financial. Also to let young guys play, but mostly financial. Are you surprised that they need to cut more money off the books? Two-parter. And second, do you think that means they're going to just not care about the return and trade as much of the contract as possible?
I don't know. That's a really good question. I think they're really trying to cut it down for future contracts or extensions on young guys potentially that to start to build up to maybe 26.
Kyle Tucker, maybe.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. I know that's
future
your
Cub
guy.
Kyle Tucker.
Yeah. But I do think I do think that they would love that if they can offset almost all that contract, they would take lesser in return. Yes, I do believe that.
Which is ridiculous to me.
I agree.
This leads to a bigger conversation for me outside of this. Like, if you can get off the entire contract, okay, I guess, there is value in that. If you go out next year and you sign somebody with the money you would be paying him. If you don't, then I don't want you to get off any other money. Keep it.
Yes. Yeah.
But I feel like the DeWitts, the Cardinals fans have given the DeWitts so much, and they've given us a lot. So it's been a very mutual relationship for majority of his time as owner. Okay, I think we can all agree on that. He put a winning product on the field, and we supported him for doing it. But the last couple of years, you were still in the top 10 in attendance both years with a really bad product on the field. You still were in the top 10 of viewers on cable with a really bad product that I honestly, a lot of days, didn't want to turn on to watch. I think it's ridiculous that he's not willing to eat it a little bit one year and kind of give back to the fans that have given him what he has. That to me is ridiculous. I know that's not how businesses work. This is not, we're seeing businesses. People don't like businesses. We know that, especially after the last couple of weeks.
You don't say.
Yeah. So I get it. It's not how they work. Businessmen are here for money. We get it. It just, to me, it's kind of disgraceful to not be willing to say, okay, we'll eat, I'll spend $10 more million than I really want to based on my projected revenues, just to get this organization in a better spot with a better player they're getting back.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a very valid response as a fan. I don't know, like you said, that's how a businessman looks at it. So
it's definitely not. Like, I know it's not.
Do you think B-Dub upped his security this week? Do you think he has hired extra security for this?
I don't think he goes outside. That's what I'll say.
You don't think he goes to Arby's?
He's like Howie from the Benchwarmers.
He might be. He's eating sunscreen.
Eating
sunblock. Okay, so let's move on. Now, a guy that you brought up that you said has been kind of quiet about, and I'm intrigued to see if you think this is in the cards. No pun intended, but maybe pun intended. Eric Fedde. Let's talk about him a little bit. When you're seeing kind of like we've seen some of these movements with pitchers that are signing insane deals,
insane contracts.
Do you think the Cardinals, it would behoove them as an organization to go ahead and really cash in on an Eric Fedde deal? Because if you're asking me, which no one is, but if you are, his value might never be higher as a major league pitcher than it is right this second.
I don't know if that's true because, like, what if he goes out and wins a World Series somewhere and is good? So I won't say that.
I'm saying you can't live in the what if worlds because I don't know like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like he could go out and win a World Series and be Jordan Montgomery and get signed and have us like be done. Like that's what I'm saying.
Well, it's possible for sure. And I don't think Jordan Montgomery's done. Hopefully, but
same.
Hopefully for his sake, I hope. But my answer to that is it's insane not to be like trying to trade him. Like you don't have once again same Helsley situation. If you're not getting anything that you want, then don't trade him. Well, why would you? There's no reason to. But for me, I think he's the inverse of Ryan Helsley. Ryan Helsley to me becomes maybe more valuable at the trade deadline. I know it doesn't make sense in like your brain or my brain to say how half a season of a reliever might be more valuable than one season of a reliever, but that's just how it works a lot of times with relievers. With starting pitchers, specifically like Eric Fedde, who no one knows what he's like in the postseason. No one knows if he's even a postseason starter. if you're trading for that guy at the deadline, are you trading for him and saying that guy really ups our championship odds? Probably not.
Right.
But if you trade for him right now, are you saying that's a $7 million starter that might get me 180 innings of a sub-4? That's way more valuable than 2 months of that.
To be fair, the Cardinals traded for him thinking he would help their championship bid.
No, they were hoping it got them in the postseason. There's a difference. The teams that are serious about winning are going to look at him and say, is he starting over our 3 in a postseason series? I don't know.
Right. Anybody else on that roster outside of the Steven Matz that you could see them really, really looking actively to trade?
Actively, like I know, but I think there's a chance that you peg if Fedde were to go. Is there a world where Jojo Romero is also in that deal? Yeah, like that'd be okay with me too. I'd honestly probably be looking to move Jojo Romero, because I don't know what he is, but I know that it's inconsistent, and there's a chance he's not very good next year, and you just kind of have this lefty that you could have gotten something for.
Right.
But to be honest with you, they don't have a lot of valuable stuff besides the stuff you don't want to trade. Like Contreras would have been valuable to some extent. Sonny would have been as well. Those two guys, I did see something that Sonny is available via trade. I don't know if that's true or not.
Where did you see this?
Let me look it up because I did see it today or I dreamed it. I don't know, but I know something happened. Oh God. Moving on. I don't have anything to say about that. Starting pitcher trade market. Yeah, I mean, his name keeps popping up everywhere.
I think it's going to, because the Cardinals are known to be looking to trade people. Teams are going to need starting pitching. So whether it's reputable or not, we don't know. But I think that is a name that's going to continue to pop up until the Cardinals either squash it or trade him.
They've squashed it.
Well, they haven't because the name, I would think that you're right. I think you are correct. But we know how that works, especially in the interwebs. We understand that.
But it was like actual reporters like sending, and maybe they're talking about it. And if I'm the Cardinals, once again, I'm not not listening. I will listen. If someone comes to me about Sonny Gray, the problem I have is if Sonny says he wants to stay and wants to be a part of the rebuild, I would have a really hard time even going to him with a trade. Yeah. Like that to me is kind of shitty to even do that.
I agree.
But also it's the business. Like that's sports. Sports are shitty a lot of times. I wouldn't be looking to trade him. Contreras, I'm just not trading because I don't think you're getting much, and I want him on this team. Who else is even out there? You're not trading. There's no reason.
I agree. No, I don't think so. I am pretty excited. It does sound like my Taco Bell just showed up, so that is my lunch here in a little bit. So I'm pretty excited. Chicken Cantina tacos are pretty good with a Mexi melt.
Taco Bell needs to lower their prices again.
It's outrageous. Yeah, everybody does. That's where we are now. But also, so do grocery stores. Apps. So I don't even know if it's cheaper for your mom and I to go out to eat or to make food here anymore. I don't even know the answer to that. It's about the damn same.
It's not.
That's pretty damn close.
Because if you and her go out to eat in New Orleans, you're spending $50. I guarantee you won't spend $50 for a meal you're making at home.
We might. Well, probably not, but that is true. Either way. Okay. All right. Before we get to more baseball, just a couple things I did want to hit on. I think we'd be remiss obviously we are a baseball show, so one of these people is baseball, but pretty rough week this week for Hall of Fame athletes and cancer. Obviously wearing my support against, fighting against cancer shirt for Randy Moss and Ryan Sandberg. I mean, obviously Randy Moss, in my mind, the greatest wide receiver in my opinion, in history. You can argue it. It's fair. I understand it. In my mind, it's Randy Moss. And then obviously growing up in the 80s as a Cardinal fan, Ryan Sandberg has a very special place in my heart, even though he is a Cub. So hated to see that news that he's in remission, then it pops back up. I don't think it's probably. He's on the short list of greatest second baseman to ever play the game. You can feel free to rank those however you'd like. I honestly don't care. So we send all of our good vibes, all our juju to those two guys, because you're talking about, on Mount Rushmore of athletes when it comes to certain things.
Yeah, life just sucks, like generally speaking.
Fuck cancer. That's all you can say.
Yeah, and it just sucks. And and it is like there's something special about athlete. Obviously, people's relationships to sports, that's a deep conversation. But athletes they're larger than life a lot of times because they can do things you can't do. Physically, they can do things you're not able to do. Like when you watch Randy Moss highlights, looking back at it, I can't do anything that man could do. Not one thing could I do. So when they get affected by things like this, health things specifically, it's kind of a wake up call. It can happen to anyone because they're all rich, and a lot of people want to say rich people have better access to healthcare. And they're also in supremely good health, majority of them. So it's scary. I hope they both do okay. The good news is I think Dick Vitale's in remission. If we want to put
Yeah, that is good news. So keep it up, Dickie V. I mean,
I
obviously
love that
legend.
man.
Yeah, same. So I just want to get that out. And then before we get to the final bit of baseball, I just want your take on old Uncle Billy, Chapel Bill, heading to
Oh, Chapel
North
Bill,
Carolina,
that's great.
baby.
I loved what he said on McAfee about him wanting to make it a pipeline to the NFL. Like that's what you
Yep,
want to sell people on. Um, I don't. The only help I think he's going to be a good coach. Okay, we know Bill Belichick's a great coach, and I have no doubt he can scheme better than every ACC coach out there. Okay, no doubt.
we agree.
Like
We agree.
Dabo Swinney's a really good coach. He's not Bill
Yeah,
Belichick.
yeah,
I don't know how he's going to handle NIL in the transfer portal.
yeah.
I don't think he's going to take too
Because
kindly to people transferring out of his program.
I think it's going to be really interesting. There's a couple things for me as a Tar Heel basketball fan, so I do follow their other sports. I do think it's going to be interesting to watch. In the past, he has had no problem cutting ties with people on his roster at the right time, like maybe early,
No,
would argue. Get them out before they need to get paid and before they don't produce. I'm intrigued to see when athletes now do that to him, who come to because I don't think he's going to have any problem recruiting. Bill Belichick sits in your parents' living room.
you listen.
You're going to North Carolina to play football. The question is going to be, can he
What if
keep them
Dion
there?
comes right after?
Well, that's another question there as well. But it's going to be interesting to see can you keep them there because we know that the NIL money down here at LSU, at Alabama, at Ohio State, storied programs that North Carolina isn't is greater than what they have. But I got to think there is so much money out there in Chapel Hill that that AD gave him, I think, carte blanche to just say you can do whatever
What
the
do you
fuck
want?
you want. That's it, I
Yeah,
believe. So I'm
I'm
intrigued.
also
I am.
wondering.
How many primetime games is North Carolina going to have next year?
Are they going to be good next year? Who's their quarterback?
I don't. Well, I'm intrigued to see how many people they get in from the NIL. I did not know they made a bowl game. They did. They weren't good. They lost to James
Hmm.
Madison, but they made a bowl. Well, it does feel like everybody makes a bowl game anymore. However, I'm intrigued
Hey,
to see what he gets brought in. No, Illinois deserved it. That was not a shot at Illinois.
yeah,
That
don't you
was a shot at
dare.
North Carolina and Northwestern, who had a shot to go 5-7 and make it just because they got smart people on their team. That was kind of a shot at that too.
I
But
still don't get that
I
rule.
don't
I don't
understand
get it at
that
all.
rule at all. However,
They're trying to save face by getting academics into it a little bit
little
into
bit,
football a
right?
little
Just
bit.
as minute as we can. We're going to send them to North Dakota to play in the bowl there, but at least they're in. But anyway,
Can you
I'm
explain to me
intrigued.
why it's called the Cheez It Citrus Bowl?
Well, because
What?
Cheez It is the sponsor. We know that.
My
What's
headphones
going
just
on there?
died. Sorry.
Okay. Anyway, I think it's gonna be must-watch TV. I think he can make them better. I mean, Matt Brown was a great coach. Like for years, I mean, he's got a national championship under his belt, at least one. I think only one at Texas. So, but there at the end, I don't know if the voice just lost it there. But Bill being 60, whatever. Now we do know based off the pictures
I think he's in his
online,
70s.
we do know that based on pictures online, that man can recruit college talent. So
Okay. Let's not do that. That's creepy.
I'm just that's a fact. Anyway, so that's I'm intrigued to see that. But let's move on to what everybody is dying to hear about, and that is the impact of the offseason free agent signings with my fantasy baseball team. So first, let's go ahead and get to Juan Soto. I would like to go ahead and hurt the other shoulder. When I sat on here and told you that the contract is going to start with a 7, and you told me once again how dumb I was. So I just want to get that out there. That's 2 receipts that I kept that need to be out there. Let Mike cook. That's all we need to know.
The second time I'll say that it is. I was right. It's stupid. It's
Irrelevant.
dumb.
That's irrelevant. That's
Um,
irrelevant if it's stupid or not. I just want it out there that I need my flowers today, and that's part of it.
Now that it was made official last night, Steve Cohen can now talk about it publicly. Um, and he kind of said he didn't even think he was going to get him. He was like, I put the offer in, and they just kind of said okay, and that's like what happened. He was like, I was shocked. Um, there's a lot of conversations that stem from this contract specifically. I think the number one is good for the Mets. Like you can, if you can afford it, go do it. I guess. Good for Juan Soto. They got one of the greatest hitters potentially of all time, depending on how he finishes his career. And then the next conversation is Um, when is a salary cap going to be put in place in Major League Baseball? Because it's coming.
It's got to be. It's got to be coming.
There's
But I
gonna be a work
wonder.
stoppage in 2 years. It's gonna be really bad.
I hope not. Like, but that's.
There
I
will
mean,
be
yeah,
because there won't ever be a salary cap without a work stoppage. I can guarantee you that.
yeah, I agree. And there needs to be a floor as well. So, like, if you're
Well,
one of the
yeah, they will
teams,
be.
like, that's what has to happen. But shout out to Juan, by the way, for getting the bag. The Mets went and got him. Again, back to the fantasy team. Shout out to Mark Vientos for going to now be hitting behind him, who is a bandit on my fantasy team. So we love that. That really made me happy. I think, and I talked to you on the phone yesterday about this, I think it's absolutely fucking hilarious that if it's even minutely correct, that he went to the Mets because they gave him a suite and the Yankees said, oh, no, 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 Mr. Soto. This is where we draw the line. If Aaron Judge doesn't have one, which, by the way, just go ahead and give Aaron Judge one, too, if that's what you got to do.
Give them. I'm sure they would take one that's just both of their families have one together.
One would think, right? We looked at it was like 15,000 a seat or 15,000 a night in
It
that
was
area.
15 to 20. Yeah.
Yeah, 8 to 20, but most like the average like 15 to 17 for a suite. You can't like give that to Juan Soto. Like, come on.
Like we did the math. It was like adding an extra 1.6 mil in
Yeah.
the high end to his contract.
And I'm not saying that's the only thing that did it, but if that is, like, if the reports are correct that was part of it, I can't stop laughing at how inept the Yankees and the Cowboys have become two of the most inept franchises in sports, and I can't stop laughing at either of them.
Well, they just made the World Series, so I don't know if we can say that.
And they just lost. Like, they're not going to make it now for a while, guaranteed.
Yeah, probably. But I do want to say, like, the offer that they made to him was outrageous and more than not fair, crazy. It was a crazy offer that they gave him. They're just a crazier guy that's a couple miles away in Queens. Or I don't know how many miles, a bunch of miles probably.
Not that far.
Yeah, a train ride away, I would assume.
There you go. There you go.
I don't know what I was gonna say. Oh, why is this why? So last year we said Ohtani 700 million. He's a unicorn. And plus all the crazy deferments. That makes sense. Why is Juan Soto being paid $765 million with a chance for it to go up to 805?
Well, don't you think? Well, I think the key is that 5-year opt out. Like, I think that's why
they're going to opt into it.
There's a good. He can, but he could also opt out if he has 5 great years.
He can opt out, and if he does, the Mets can say, okay, we're picking up. Same way with Garrett Coles, they can pick it up, and then the contract turns to $805 million.
I know, crazy.
Juan Soto's not leaving the Mets.
Hey, folks, teach your kid how to play baseball and be really good at it. That's what I'll say.
Just make sure he can't play the field.
I tried that, and yet here we are.
Just make sure he can't play the field, and then he'll get paid a lot of money.
Yep. My parents tried it as well, and here we are as well. So there we go.
I really don't get it. Like, what are we doing?
What are we doing? Crazy. It's crazy.
Here's my thing. If Kyle Tucker gets traded to the Yankees, okay, because that's rumors flying, whatever. If that happens, they're going to give up something significant. Maybe Luis Gil more, who knows? Then no one else is going to be able to sign him because they're going to give him as much as he wants to go there because they can't take the fact that they'd be losing 2 people in a row.
Correct. Is it all almost moot if they don't sign Pete Alonso in New York?
Which one are you talking about?
The Mets. Like, I don't know that team. I mean, obviously they're better, better.
Their pitching's not good enough right now.
But don't they still need like Pete? I feel like they still need Pete in that lineup to go with Juan, like, and Vientos, like, and I know Nimbo's a really good player, and I know that their catcher, his name absolutely just escaped me.
Francisco Alvarez.
There it was. It literally just went away. I had it.
He's a stud.
It's very good. Yes, I understand all of that. Jeff McNeil, whatever.
Jeff McNeil sucks, but that's okay.
But I'm just saying, like, doesn't it seem to if you're gonna, I guess what I'm saying is if I'm gonna go ahead and spend this amount of cash on Juan Soto, I'm paying Pete Alonso too. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Let's keep in mind, David Stearns is the one operating this, right? It's not just Steve Cohen, right? So there is a middleman. Just the same way we talk about Mo's signing, it's not just Bill DeWitt signing these people. David Stearns is very smart. I would assume he doesn't want to sign Pete Alonso. I would also assume he didn't want to give $765 million to Juan Soto.
But it's not his money.
Like, do they need Pete Alonso? No, they don't. But would it help? Yes, it would help.
Yeah.
It would help them a lot.
I think they kind of need him. I'm going to be honest. I think
they were what, 2 wins away from the World Series last year without Juan Soto, and they had Pete Alonso.
I get it. I just think I just think they need. I'm going to say that I think the Braves bounce back this year. I think the Phillies will still be in it. I think the
Yeah.
Mets need Pete Alonso in that lineup. That's all I'm going to say.
If you want to really look like the favorite, then yes, because right now they're
Yeah,
still not the favorite in that division, in my opinion.
yeah, agreed.
The Braves are a better team than them right now, in
In
my opinion.
continued talks, as you brought up Kyle Tucker, your guy Kyle Tucker, um, we need to go ahead and get him, even though it's not pretty and we're not going to love it. We need to get him to Chicago so my guy Isak Paredes on my fantasy team can get to Houston
No,
and hit about 45 home runs with the Crawford boxes.
no, I can't
That's all
watch
I
Kyle
need.
Tucker play in Chicago. I can't
I
do
know
it.
that would be rough with Cody Bellinger. That'd be rough,
Cody
unless
Bellinger's
they
getting
trade
traded.
Bellinger. Right,
They're trading
right,
him. He's
yeah.
gonna be a Yankee.
So you think the
No, I
Yankees are
can't
gonna get
watch that.
Bellinger and Tucker?
Huh?
You think the Yankees are gonna get Bellinger and Tucker?
No, I think they're gonna just get Bellinger after the Cubs
Oh,
get Tucker.
okay. Do you think I asked you this yesterday when you and I were talking. I'm confused by what the Astros are doing, and you brought up a really good point that you just feel like he's not like he doesn't want to sign an extension there in Houston, which is probably the case if they're looking to trade him. But when you've got Alvarez, I mean, we've seen Altuve's still putting up numbers. They've got a young pitching staff, and they got more pitching on the way. I'm just intrigued by why they want to move on from Bregman and Tucker.
They don't want to move on from
That
Bregman.
well, okay, but they're not if they don't resign him. That's what I mean.
Right. They're trying to though.
Yes, I understand that. I'm just intrigued why you don't keep the gang together because it's not like they're aging vets. To be honest, that's not an old team.
No, it's not. I wonder. I was thinking about this. I wonder. I don't think Tucker gets moved if he gets moved before Bregman signs or doesn't sign back with them. So I was wondering, like, if they bring Bregman back, do you think that makes them more likely to keep Tucker?
I would think so. I would
I would think
absolutely
so
because
too.
I think so.
Like, why not? Like, why
To
not
be
give it one
honest, I
more
know we
year?
want him on the Cardinals. If he doesn't end up a Cardinal, I would like him to stay in Houston. That's what I'll say.
Tucker?
Yes,
No, I want him to be a Cardinal.
I just said if he's not a
I'm
Cardinal.
not sorry. There's not another option to me.
Okay, so there's only one avenue for you. In the third, Mike Noble's fantasy team, the Bandits, great move this week. Garrett Crochet was traded to the Red Sox from the abysmal White Sox. I am pretty excited about that, even though I don't love him going to the AL East, and I don't love that short porch in left field. He is going to get a lot of strikeouts because we do know the teams in the AL East strike out a lot.
Yeah, I think we overrate how much being in a division matters, especially today. It doesn't matter that much.
Probably.
Because like, yeah, he's left-handed, and that would lead. It makes sense to, for your next thought to be, well, then maybe more home runs against righties in Fenway. Chris Sale didn't care about that, so
No.
I
No.
I think he'll be okay. I think he's good. I don't know how great he is. Like he could end up being Tarek Skubal, right? Like he has that potential to just boom like that. But he also has a much probably more likely scenario of not doing that. They have a lot for him too. Kyle Teal's a really good prospect.
Yes.
Braden Montgomery's a guy we wanted maybe if before Weatherholt fell.
Texas A&M, Braden Montgomery, or Mississippi State? I always get those two confused when it
I
comes
think
to
it's
baseball.
Mississippi State.
Okay, because their uniforms look almost identical.
Yeah, they're very similar. So good deal for them.
It is Mississippi State.
I don't know, like why do it's so weird to me that they cut the White Sox. One of their top 5 prospects is a catcher, and then they just like center a package around the catcher.
No one understands what the White Sox do.
It's a good trade for them, I think, though.
It is, but I just I don't get it. But I'm happy for Garrett Crochet to get involved. I think that's a good move for Boston. I think it's a really good move to add him into that rotation.
They need more.
And then I also am happy for Nathan Eovaldi to go back to Texas. Like, good for him.
A lot of money.
Lot of money.
More money than he signed there originally for.
Yeah. Good for him and good for Texas. I don't know how good they're going to be. I have no clue. That seems like one of those teams that's just like teetering on. They'll either be good or they'll just be like not good. Like, do you know, like they're going to be average. It's going to be, we're going to either be in it or we're going to be bad. I don't know what to think of them anymore.
We'll see if Corey Seager's healthy and Jacob deGrom can stay on the field.
Yeah, and they can keep those young guys, those young bats like Heim and
Heim's going to be
just their young Josh Young, like and Evan Carter, see what he does
Josh
out
Smith.
there. And then obviously Wyatt Langford to see how he progresses in his second year in the big league.
Josh H. Smith also was one of the best rookies in baseball.
LSU.
Let's get to Roki Sasaki for a second.
Okay.
So Joe Wolf came out, who's the agent of Arenado, the agent of Newbar, the agent of Sasaki and Yamamoto. So people are going to get excited about that connection because it matters, which it doesn't. He said that there's a potential that Roki will be looking to go to a mid-market team because of his mental health struggles over the last year with the Japanese media. Which, by the way, I didn't expect him to come out and say that, but if that's the case, then I wouldn't blame him for going to a mid-market team. Okay, moving on from that, the Cardinals have said they're going to make a pitch to him, and they're going to have a meeting. with Roki Sasaki. Mo did not sound confident. It's going to go well. But he did say they're going to definitely try, because why wouldn't they try? It would be absolutely absurd for them not to try. Do you think the Cardinals have any chance of being able to convince Roki Sasaki that this is an organization he should want to join?
No.
I I think if Chaim Bloom is doing the meeting and you bring in all these young smart guys that they've just brought in, Pierpoint, the guy from Seattle, and you can be like, hey, look at all these people I worked with. I think you could intrigue him. I just don't see any world. I do. Like, I think you could make it to where he's like considering like what it would be like. I just think you're going up against 129 other teams. But also, like, if he wants to be in the middle of the country, even if that's the case, and he just wants to fly under the radar for his first couple of years, get his feet wet. Why the hell would he come to the Cardinals over the Brewers or the Guardians? He won it.
Or the Reds.
Well, okay. He would. That's ridiculous.
They got a really good pitching staff and have developed really good pitching. Shout out Derek Johnson.
Yeah, we're talking about the Reds. We're talking about the Cardinals being in the worst spot in their franchise in the last 50 years. The Cardinals were still better than the Reds last year.
I get it. I'm just saying. I mean,
he would not go to the Reds. Stop. That's ridiculous. No. Was he like Johnny Bench?
There it is again. There it is again. You telling me how? I can't wait till he.
And then you're going to tell me how there's a report
that he signs with the Reds because he loves Skyline Chili. I can't wait for that day.
Why would anyone go to the Reds?
What if he's got a really good relationship with Joey B and Jamar Chase?
Joe Burrow's under some fire right now too.
What'd he do?
Let's just say someone broke into his house and the person that called 911 was not his fiance.
Ah, gotcha.
That's all I'll say.
Okay. Yeah, they got Jamar's house too after they got Mahomey and Kelsey. Crazy. Weird time to be an athlete or a CEO. That's all I'll say. But yeah, I don't know. I will go back. I'm going to handicap it at 0% chance that Roki Sasaki takes anything the St. Louis Cardinals say seriously. That's what I'll say.
I don't agree with that. I think there's still respect. Well, no, you're coming at this from an emotional fan standpoint. If you're a player on the outside, the Cardinals are still one of the most storied franchises in baseball history. There is something to that.
Do you think he cares about that?
Yeah, I think everyone cares about that.
I don't.
I think the Yankees get people to come there, even though it's like seems to be an awful time, and everybody loses all their swag when they get there.
Because they overpay them. That's why. The Cardinals don't do that.
Not always.
Cardinals don't do that. He's going to go where he's going to get paid. And
that's not a thing. No, he's not.
Seattle
would
make a lot of sense.
Stop. He's not getting paid anywhere. That's not a thing.
Oh well, that's true because it is. That's right. I forgot that he is set.
He's not getting paid no matter where he goes. Right.
Well, he's getting paid, but
he's getting paid he's getting paid the same way Lars Newbar's getting paid.
Yeah, hey, bring Newbar, bring Chaim Bloom, bring the guys like you said. Taguchi. Bring those guys. So Taguchi.
I'm not kidding.
Get them all there. I agree. Get them there and let's see what happens.
Like if they're gonna try and they're legitimately gonna try, then you better actually like make an effort. Find a way to get them in Busch Stadium. Like don't do a Zoom call. Fly him out to Busch Stadium. Give him some barbecue. Maybe he likes it. I don't know.
Yeah. Fly him out to St. Louis in January. That'll be a great selling point.
Okay, here's what I was gonna say. Like put some blinders on before he gets in the stadium.
Like, come on. No,
all right. Anything else? No, I'm serious. Like, actually make an effort. Don't make it.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I just don't see that happening, but I do agree with what you're saying.
I don't think it will either, but I do like the idea of him not going to a coastal team because, once again, this is becoming a massive issue with baseball. I'm tired of seeing the same teams get everybody. It's a joke.
Yeah, I get it. We'll discuss that at a later date maybe we'll get Kyle on here and we can talk about that.
I'm at least positive. I'm at least relieved that they're actually trying. Yeah. I thought they were just going to be like, we're not going to get him. We're not even going to worry about it.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Anything else you need to go over before I go eat my Taco Bell?
I think it sucks to be a fan of a team that's not adding, but also the pieces they're selling are worth nothing. Like it absolutely sucks. So I can't be excited about them signing anyone or trading for anyone. And I also can't be excited about what they might get when they trade somebody.
Yeah. Yep. It's a rough spot. It's a rough spot right now to be a Cardinal fan or a Pelicans fan or a Saints fan and potentially a Blues fan.
Although don't say that. The Blues are going out.
Right. Well,
then why'd you say it?
Well, no, you're right. I've changed it. I changed it.
No, I was going to say about how excited
also, when do you, by the way, shout out to you. Caleb will be covering the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl for the U of I Illini. Do you know when you are going? Do you know any details? Will you be on TV? How do we find you to where you will be?
I don't know any details. That's my answer.
Okay, great. Great answer. That's good to know.
That's all I got for you. I
What are
really
your
don't.
plans on are you going to Disney World? Are you going to Harry Potter World while you're there in Orlando?
Is someone giving me money to do that? Because if so, if not,
I don't
no.
I feel like that should be an Illini thing. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Hey, Josh Whitman, can you
Are you
send some
going
dollars over there?
to after who Illini win and they give, let's say Luke Altmaier is the player of the game, are you going to interview him and before he gets to say it, say I'm going to Disney World before he gets to get his flowers?
That would be. I don't think I'll make. I don't think that's gonna happen. No.
Can you make that happen for our viewers and
I'm
our
going
listeners,
to Disney.
please?
He'd be so confused. I've only interviewed him twice. He would be like, "Who is this guy and why is this happening?"
Oh, anyway, that's cool that you get to do that. You won't be in New Orleans for New Year's Eve, which is less cool, but you will be in Orlando, which could be cool.
Yeah, or they're gonna lose to South Carolina, like I expect them to, and it's gonna
I
be.
don't. Well, here's the thing with the bowl games. Like we used to do a family bowl pick 'em. I stopped that simply because nobody knows who's playing in any of the bowl games. So that's the problem. Like you don't know who's going to play for South Carolina. Also, whoever said it, there was a coach or a player that came out and said how dumb it is to allow these NIL things to happen or these portal transfers to happen before a bowl game. I agree. By the way, that should not be a thing. Like it's
Yeah, I don't get
ridiculous.
that either. It
So,
seems
all
so
right.
easy to just not let that happen.
Anyway, flowers too. That's a cool thing that you get to do. That'll be awesome that you'll be in
Can I ask you a
Orlando for New
question?
Year's Eve. I got Taco Bell waiting, so it better be
Okay,
quick.
this is my last one. And it's about college football.
Okay.
I understood why athletes would opt out of bowl games prior to getting paid.
Yes.
If you are paying, let's say I'm going to use Pat Bryant as an example, just because I know he's not playing and I don't know who else isn't playing around football. Let's just say this isn't true. I don't know this. I have no insider information. I'm giving an example. If Pat Bryant's making $3 million, he's not. But if he was, don't you think he has some obligation to the school to try and win them more money by winning a bowl game?
No.
I just think that's interesting because when you start getting paid, it opens another can of worms of what athletes should be doing.
Well, I also like there's so many questions with the NIL. Is he being paid by the university or is he being paid by the sponsors who are paying the NILs? So that's
He's
two
getting paid by
completely
the sponsor that's getting funneled through the university.
correct. So that they're just the middleman. The university is just the middleman.
Well, not really, because they're deciding who to pay.
When you're talking $3 million is a lot of money for Pat Bryant, for anyone, for
It's
anyone.
not what he's getting either. I made that
I
up.
understand that. I'm using the example that you used. But that first, but what he's going to get in signing bonuses as
He'll get
well
less than a
as,
signing bonus.
I understand all that. But that first contract, which is what now 3 to 5 years in the NFL, way
Yeah,
more than
with
that $3
franchise
million.
tag options.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't even agree with what I said necessarily, but I do think it's interesting because if you argue once you start getting paid, money changes everything, changes the dynamic of everything. So
I think that I've reserved and I completely understand that if you're in the playoffs, I think guys play. Guys are going to play. Do you know what I mean? If they have a
they
shot for a
should.
national championship, if you're playing in the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl and I'm going to be a top 2 round pick, that's what I'll say.
Three for sure. Who knows?
Right, but 2 for sure in my mind. But yeah,
He should be, yeah.
I'm not playing in that game. There's no what is the I mean, I understand everybody's like you got to go play with your buddies. It's your last time together. I understand every single bit of that and I love the emotion of it as an
He
athlete
wanted
who
to.
was not a guy who was going to get paid that much money. But there's no way these agents or anybody else NFL people are going to let him do that. I mean, I know you can go get hurt at the combine. I understand. He can go get. He's playing the Senior Bowl. Which is really cool for him. He could get hurt there. I get all of that. I do. But now I'm standing on business. If we're going to be honest, and I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not playing in a bowl game.
I also and my retort if I were him would be, hey, like if I were bad, would you have kept me around? Like,
Yeah.
there's no
And the other
loyalty
thing
to
is
me.
like you get some freshman on out there who's playing now for the opposite team who's trying to make a name for himself and does something stupid.
And levels
Let,
Pat Bryant, right?
bingo,
Yeah.
bingo. That it's just
Also,
not worth it to me.
football's just so unique in the way hockey similarly, but not the same. Football's unique in a way where legitimately playing a game can risk your career. Like that's because of the sport that they're playing. If it's baseball, if it's basketball, yeah, go play. Why not? But football, no. Like that, I get it.
You know, I think Jamar. I mean, I'm intrigued to see the future here too. What Jamar Chase did in 2020 when he sat out because of COVID and didn't even play and was still a top 5 pick in the NFL draft,
Right.
and is arguably one of the top 2 wide receivers in all of football. Like, I don't even think there's an
And he's
argument.
not
there.
number 2.
I think it's him and Justin Jefferson who were on the same team at LSU. I think those are
CeeDee
your
Lamb.
2 best.
Like there's the
wide
other guys
receivers.
up there, but sure.
But yeah, but either way, I think that I'm surprised we haven't seen more of that, and you might, but with the NIL that might not happen because they're not going to pay you to not play. So
It's also
I'm
too
intrigued.
risky.
I'm intrigued to see that happen. But again, back to your question, I'm not playing in the bowl game. That's what I'll say.
I wouldn't either.
I at all. So that's it.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. But
all right, well, let's get out of here. We will be back because here's one thing we have ensured. By the way, for those of you who are still listening, thank you so much, and hit that subscribe or follow button. One thing we have ensured is that as soon as we log out of here, we will get Nolan Arenado news. That's the way our podcast works. We try to break it. It gets broken right after we do. So there's what happens. But we will be back. Caleb's coming to the 504 here soon. We will be back in yours probably before. We'll be back before Christmas, no doubt about it. Everybody have an amazing weekend. We'll talk to you soon. Go Cards.